David D'Onofrio, Chief Executive Officer of White Gold Corp. White Gold Corp is a Canadian-based gold exploration company with a very large district-scale land package in Canada's Yukon, particularly in the Klondike district that's seen over 20 million ounces of placer gold mining in the last 100 years, with no modern exploration until the last 15 years, where our team's gone on to make several multi-million ounce discoveries. We've been fortunate to attract significant partners in Agnico Eagle and Kinross Gold, and we're actively continuing to explore this prolific district.
David, thank you for the introduction. Nice to meet you. This is your first time with CRUX Investor. I do want to get into White Gold and White Gold Corp and understand a little bit more about the company. But first, can I just ask about your background and what brought you to the company, and a little bit about you first, please.
For sure. Listen, glad to be here. I've been watching you guys for quite some time now. I think you do incredible interviews. Very familiar with a number of the companies that you guys have worked with in the past, and really interesting to learn about many others. So I am obviously the CEO of White Gold Corp. In addition to that, I'm a principal at the Power One Capital Group. Power One is a merchant bank based in Toronto. We're, a sector agnostic merchant bank here, but we've been very active in the mining, exploration, and development sector for about 20 years now. And we've really been fortunate over that time to work with a number of companies, different industries, different jurisdictions, and have been able to really build up a tremendous amount of knowledge and, really learn what it takes to help make have a real, true, success in this industry, which is, a challenging industry at the best of times. And over that period, we've been able to have, been part of some, really sort of high-profile success stories, starting back, to the early 2000s with like Au Resources, in the gold sector. Oryx Resources is another one in the gold sector where that was acquired by B2 Gold. And now we're working with that same management team in Osino. Continental Gold was bought by the Chinese. And the theme here is that, we're in a part of our careers where we've worked with these great management teams and great assets. You sort of really have a sense of how to optimize your success. And, and we're at this point where, listen, you make a lot of mistakes, but as long as you're learning from them, I think that's an okay thing to do. And some of these projects that we say that we're involved with has sort of been hand selected now over the years, or they're kind of coming to us, right? And this White Gold is is sort of a great case study for how that works. And we've been actively investing across Canada, particularly in the Yukon, for almost 15, 20 years now. And we were able to get such great relationships with the the primary explorers there that we were able to really tie up what I believe is a true district scale land package, being 350,000 hectares. So from our seat, we're investors. We view ourselves as very strategic value add investors, which I think is very important to help the success of these companies, whatever industry it might be. In the mining, what does that mean, being value add? Number one, we have, our own capital, which we put into all the companies, significant amounts. We have access to other strategic capital sources. We have great relationships with the major mining companies, having done transactions with them over the last, number of years. And we also have some really strong relationships within the Canadian and international capital markets.
But can I just interrupt? I mean, so what you're describing really is that you're an investment banker. You're more of an investor than a CEO.
I would say I split a role, and when I am the CEO by name of this company, but I would say I'm more I would say Power One sits in the capital markets position of this company. And it's an interesting story. I'll tell you how it came about. So Shawn Ryan, the notorious prospector that's made these prolific discoveries in the Yukon, he's our partner. He brought us this land package, and he was able to put this together, and he realized that, a group like ourselves, having invested there, would really see the value. Typically, when someone brings us a project, the founder, the entrepreneur, they also want to be the CEO. Now, Shawn, to his credit, he knows what his skills are. He knows what he likes to do. He wants to be in the field, trying to craft the code of where to find more gold. And
So he runs the kind of the internal side of things. He runs the field operations and the managers and the technical side of the business.
That's
and
right.
Your aspect is the kind of the financial, the capital markets, and the external facing side of the business.
That's right. The accounting, he does a lot of the external sort of marketing as well. And I think you guys should have him on the program. He's Mr. Yukon. He knows it better than anyone in the world, literally. And then ourselves as a team with Shawn, we sort of fill what would be a normal CEO role, which I think is great for the company because you have many levels of expertise. In addition to myself, within our sort of group, we can help with the CFO type stuff, corporate secretarial, marketing, et cetera. We have a tremendous team here to help with that. And that lets Shawn be freed up to, go find gold.
It's a setup that I'm familiar with, having sat in a very similar role to the one that you sat in, which is kind of the filling out the role of the CEO that the principal doesn't naturally want to do. In terms of the strategy that you've delineated for White Gold with Shawn, what are you as a group aiming to do as a kind of? How do you see success, and what's a kind of an exit plan that you, or kind of a maturation plan that you've got for yourselves?
So our dream, our business plan, when we set this all up with Shawn, was to be a project generator. Get in, do this grassroots exploration, show some value, show some upside. And then look to sort of, once we've sort of hit our, level of value creation, and these projects need to be moved on to sort of a group with a different skill set, look to sort of monetize on these different opportunities, use that capital then to continue to, finance the ongoing exploration. With a land package as big, we see, 10 to 20 years type of runway to be able to be doing this. And I think that's part of the reason we were, wanted to bring in partners like Agnico and Kinross, because now those are very logical sort of acquirers of these types of projects, in addition to, whoever else might, have an interest in assets like we have, which, as we're seeing now in the Yukon, is a lot of company. If you haven't been following, there's been 5 or 6 major mining companies having made significant investments in the last 2 years.
Okay, so the plan is to kind of work up a project and sell it on and monetize it. Can you explain to me your shareholder register? Because when I look at your presentation, it's one of the most extraordinary shareholder registers I've seen, because I can't see any space for retail. You've got Eric Sprott in there with 46%, and Agnico just under 20%, and management also just under 20%, and Kinross with just under 15%. So,
sort of. I think the group of Eric, Agnico, Kinross, and management makes up 46%. So maybe our graphic needs to be updated a little bit.
Okay.
No, sorry, that would make up.
So that was 100%.
45%. Management is 25%, and then retail is sort of the balance, 30-odd%.
So just remind me what Agnico's got.
Agnico is 19.9%.
Okay, and Kinross is
15 or 16%.
Yeah,
15%. And fraud is part of that. Is part of this the float with the public float, retail, and a few strategic institutions we have there. So that's the 45%.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so it's not all Eric Sprott. It's kind of it's a wider free float. Great. Sorry,
you brought up a good point. And for the first couple of years, we've had almost no public float, and that was a challenge because we didn't get the liquidity, and that caused a lot of the institutions to sort of shy away.
Yes, and Agnico is pretty tied up with kind of the Abitibi at the moment. They're kind of slightly focused in Quebec, are they not? And or kind of the Quebec, Ontario.
They're busy there, they're active there, but I would say they're also very active in Northern Canada, and they're an amazing company to work with. They're very strategic. They have a long-term value creation plan, and they've identified Western Canada and Northern Canada as an area where they want to continue to build a platform. And they're looking to invest heavily, and they're a phenomenal company. They've been tremendously successful, technically very strong. Their management team been there for a long time. Extremely successful, well respected in the capital markets. Been great guys to work with.
Okay, good. I've heard that from other people as well. I know a number of other companies that are working with Agnico, and they do acknowledge that they've got a really solid kind of operating technical team that it's small in numbers but effective in output. In terms of the kind of the cost of capital, because the equity markets have just been so horrendous for for gold companies in the last couple of years, and white gold is no exception. The share price has suffered, which means that raising capital by selling equity comes with a dilution cost, I guess.
For sure.
Is the word. But as a project generator, have you considered kind of selling off portions of your portfolio, because you've got this vast land package? You've got something like 40% of the Yukon, of the Klondike.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's part of our plan. We haven't done it just yet because there's a few some low hanging fruit we really wanted to be able to establish value for before we started to transact. The first part of it was on this Golden Saddle deposit, which is part of our white gold project. When we merged, the way we acquired that was we're the largest landholder. Kinross is the second largest landholder, having acquired Underworld Resources for $150 million. And, they we have a great relationship, having worked with them in the past, and they appreciate the fact it was our technical team that made that discovery. We were very active in the district. So, we came to the arrangement where they would merge their problems with us, take back an equity interest, and put them into our carriage. And that it was 900,000 ounces at the time. So you can ask the question, why is a property generator bringing properties in? It was just that our guys had a strong thesis that there was a lot of upside potential that we could delineate in a short period of time. And they were bang on, and we grew it from 900,000 ounces to 2.1 million ounces in a few years. And I think that, notwithstanding the share price where it is, having worked vertically, but, I think that's a function of the market, to be able to, now have an asset of that size and tenure in Canada, it is certainly come on a lot of people's radar. There's not too many of those, and you can probably count them on one hand, how many junior exploration companies have an asset of that size, that great, in such a great jurisdiction.
So what happens now with that asset, which you call it Golden Saddle and ARC? Those are the two kind of elements to the white gold project. Yeah,
there's a few deposits in that area. The more we've been working in that area, the more gold we found. And about 4 years ago, when we did the deal with Kinross, through sessions with Dan and Agnico Eagle, said, listen, you guys are junior exploration companies. You're going to get your best bang for your buck by finding new zones of mineralization within a close proximity to your flagship deposit. So we know the Golden Saddle will grow the more we drill it. We started looking for gold in and around this. We kind of gave ourselves like a 3-4 kilometer radius. We tapped into this one area to the west called the Ryan's Trend. It's a 6 kilometer mineralized gold trend. We've done some drilling on that. But we tapped into 2 new zones there. There's another zone just to the north. And that's where we've gotten most of the growth. And so that's what we've done. I think the more we drill it, the more we're going to find. But here we're at a point now where I think the next step should be to put this through a pre-feasibility or a feasibility. It takes a lot of capital. It's a different skill set. So we're now, entertaining different discussions of how to do that. That's a primary agenda item for us, in this year.
And so essentially, put out your new resource on that. You upgraded it a few weeks ago. I mean, it's really quite recent. And presumably the telephone started ringing, and you've started signing CAs. Yeah,
exactly. It wasn't just on that news release. That this has been on people's radar for a while. I think the Yukon in general has been on a lot of people's radar, especially in particular the last year. Listen, we all know in this business, jurisdictional risk is a very big factor to consider. I think in the last 2 years, that's become more obvious to a lot of people. So, being in Canada, in a mining district, is certainly on a lot of people's radar. You'll notice in that district, Newmont, the largest gold mining company in the world, is now permitting the coffee deposit. That's also a Shawn Ryan discovery. We're contiguous to that. They're building infrastructure along with the government. Rio Tinto's invested $25 million into one of our other neighbors, Western Copper. They have a huge project. Mitsubishi's in there. B2's in there. Heffa just brought a company out of the Yukon. So this area has really come onto the radar for a lot of people. We don't see it reflected in the share prices, really, a lot of the companies. But, I think as an investor, you say, well, these are the best mining companies in the world. They've done their homework. These guys have teams and teams of professionals looking at where they should be investing their money. And if this is where they're looking to go, I think that should resonate with people, looking to invest their own capital in this industry.
Now, I've been working in and with a project generator for the last 5 years, and when we look at a farm out deal, what we're always looking to get is a carry, a cash element, and a carried work program, and a retained interest. Presumably, for a company like White Gold, the cash element up front is a key component.
For sure it is. There's a lot of ways to do this. My ideal situation would be, when you have something as large as our White Gold project, where you could monetize it, but with enough capital to reward your shareholders, have them, paid out in cash or the shares of whoever's buying it. However, also keep, cash in the treasury to be used for continued exploration on the rest of the package. So, there's different ways. So
let's talk about the amount of money in White Gold at the moment and the work program that you've got, because just recently you put out an exploration plan for the year, which included 3,200 meters of drilling across Betty Ford, Vertigo, and Kali, with another 800 meters of RC kind of drilling at Wolf and Tooney. So kind of about 4,000 meters all in. To me, that seems like a worthy but possibly relatively modest exploration campaign.
Yeah, modest is a good word for it. It's one of the smaller programs we've had in a couple of years. But in this market, you got to balance a little bit of dilution, but you also want it to stay relevant. It was very important for us. We've had these two big discoveries in the last number of years. Plus, we have this very exciting new target up in the Cali that it's never seen any diamond drilling. So, we want to continue to work it. But, as a management team, as you mentioned earlier, we're very significant shareholders. We probably own about 25% of the company. And at the end of the day, we're only going to, be successful when, if there's share price appreciation. That's our goal. We're fully aligned with the shareholders there. So we have to, balance the being relevant and working, and also mitigating dilution. So that was sort of the decision that was made. I think that gives us enough work to be done to, to have a meaningful program. I think we're going to learn a lot. I think with the potential for exciting results are going to be there. But there's also a lot of other work that we do, which is not drilling, which is going to prepare targets for drilling in future work. And that's a significant portion of the budget as well. And you asked about the treasury. So, coming out of the year, December, we were probably, close to $6 million. We were fully funded for this year's program, so no need to go back to the market. And, we're really excited to with the program we put together. Drills are turning as we speak, and we're encouraged by what we think we're going to come across this year.
Gold price is still above 1,900. It's kind of $19, 1920 something, 1928, 1930 US dollars per ounce. What do you see as kind of being a catalyst in terms of the work program that you're going to be able to deliver to change the public perception of White Gold? What do you think you need to do to be able to kind of turn around the share price?
There's a couple
direction?
of things. One, listen, we're all sort of subject to the market, right? So I think that's a big part of not that that's makes me feel any better, but our sort of trajectories kind of follow along with the junior index. White Gold has a bit of seasonality in its share price performance. The winter, we're not actively drilling. You could drill in the winter. It's just a lot more dangerous and a lot more costly, so we opt not to. But, the mining projects will work all year round. So I think we're coming out of that lull. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of a pickup now the drills are turning. In terms of catalysts, listen, good drill results are obviously, what everyone's hoping for, and that's the best, best thing we can deliver to the market, depending on the market, on how much you may or may not get rewarded. That's out of our control. But, if you ask the question, what's going to change things, I'd take a step back and say, notwithstanding the fact that commodity prices are all, relatively, at or near all-time highs, fundamentally, junior mining exploration companies are viewed as risk equities, right? So I think we need a little bit more of a risk-on appetite in the markets overall. I see that sitting on Bay Street as my investment banking hat on. We have a number of tremendous assets that aren't getting valued in the market, but that's where you strategically as a company have to be able to preserve value. There's incredible uranium projects we're involved with, like Au Energy. We've sat on that for over a decade, right? Nobody cared about it. Now look at it. They're going to be in production in America in like 3 or 4 months. We could have, got rid of it or not, or let the capital structure go, but we didn't. We know there's a lot of value there. I would say our gold portfolio has some of the most valuable assets, of anything we own, like, the white gold. We're involved with Osino, and they're 3 million ounces in Namibia. The market, should be paying 3 or 4 or 5 times what they are right now. It's not a gold market. We're involved with a lot of critical metals, lithium, graphite, etc. The market loves that, right? So it's kind of flow of capitals. Glad to have that diversification. But, when you do have a good asset, you want to stick with it. You want to be patient, ensure it's properly capitalized, and, and wait for, the flow of capital to come in, which I don't know if we want to get into sort of economic viewpoints. I think at some point, rates are going to stabilize. Maybe they're going to start to come down. That should, put pressure on the U.S. dollar. That's going to, hopefully help the gold price to rise. And maybe that's what turns the tide for the gold junior mining companies and the risk-on sector overall.
Yeah, no, I see all of that. And it's a classic contrarian approach that you've got to stick to your guns. If you believe in gold and if you believe in the value creation through the drill bit by making the discovery and then delineating resource of value, that is the investment thesis as well.
Yeah, that's what we can control. That's what we're focused on. If you look at it the other way, I've honestly, in the last 20 years, never seen a better opportunity in terms of value creation potential than I see right now with this junior, gold mining sector. Because I don't know what the future is going to hold, but the discrepancy now between the commodity price and the value of the equity, I think it's never been larger, right? So if you're somebody with that kind of risk appetite and you have that thesis, if and when, the risk appetite does come back on, if gold continues to increase, I think you could see a very significant re-rating across the board. And the companies that are meaningful, are successful, have valuable assets, that should be amplified even more so, like a white gold.
That's a really great little summary there. Just to kind of wrap it up, can you kind of give me what you're expecting in terms of over the next few quarters? We're pretty much up to the half year now. So Q3 and Q4, what are you looking to deliver to the market?
So this is our exploration time of year. So we're in camp. We have drills turning. It's a very exciting point in time. I'll be going there shortly myself. Obviously, like to spend as much time on site as I can. And we're drilling 3 very exciting targets this year. One of them is the Vertigo target. This is one of the richest placer mining camps in all of Yukon's history. It's hardly seen any drilling. We did some drilling a few years ago. We came up with spectacular results. We follow that up. It's a complicated structural system. We've retained some incredible consultants to reanalyze the geophysical data, did some more sort of surface work. We've identified different directions of the veins from, I think, what was originally contemplated, and we're going to be going back and testing these theories. So, we know there's gold there. We know there's a lot of gold there, and now we're just going to be looking to sort of help figure out that continuity. So we're really excited to be working up there. I think one of the historic goals we had there was sort of, 20 plus meters at 20 plus grams right from surface. Right?
Yeah,
that's
24 meters at 23 grams per ton
gold.
gold.
So that's pretty spectacular. The other project, which is extremely excited that we've had some success on in the last couple of years, our Betty project. First and foremost, you got to look at its location, right? The best place to find a gold deposit is near other gold deposits. This is right along strike with Newmont's Coffee deposit, which was originally owned by Gold Corp, which acquired it for $500+ million. That's 2 million and change ounces. So pretty similar to what we have at White Gold in the White Gold project. This deposit, zone that we've been discovered the last couple of years, right along the same fault system, contiguous to the property. We've drilled some spectacular high-grade results in the last couple of years. 50 meters at 3.5 grams from surface, 9 grams of 18 meters, over 18 meters from surface. So we're going to go back there, do some more work, and see what more we can find there. This property also is contiguous to Western Copper and Gold's Mammoth Porphyry Casino project. That's some 20 odd million ounces of gold and 14 billion pounds of copper. So you really are in elephant country. So it's a very exciting place to work in terms of what we think the upside could be. The fact that we have the largest gold mining company in the world as our neighbor, that's permitting their mine, that's investing in the infrastructure to build a road from their project up to Dawson City, which comes right through our land package, will totally make everything more accessible, is almost too good to be true, but it's happening. And, you know, for the reason we said before, I think these big companies realize there's opportunity there, and, you know, they're investing significantly to, you know, to be able to work in such a great place with such geological potential. So that's the second project we're drilling. And then the third project is something we've been trying to get it on deck for the last 2 or 3 years. It just, you know, didn't make the cut for different reasons, but finally we're talking to our partners in our planning meeting. They said, guys, this could be a company changer for you. You got to put some drill holes in it. So we did. It's called the Nolan property, the Cali target. It's a 2-kilometer soil anomaly, which sits right on the 60-mile peak of fault. It's road accessible. It's again another very rich historic placer camp, so lots of gold in the area. Never seen a diamond drill, so we're pretty excited to do that. So, you know, a lot going on, and sometimes it's, you know, it's a mixed blessing, because some people like you to be focused, some people like, you know, to play your cards across the table. But, you know, these things are not just being drilled haphazard. It's been a lot of work that's gone on in the background, and things only get drilled when they're ready to be drilled because they've met the test to sort of show that they have the probability. So exciting there. And then in the background, we got a couple other exciting things we're working up. We have 2 huge copper porphyry targets right alongside the casino. You know, those could be game changers. You know, this is the other double-edged sword of having a company like ours. You never get the value for the, you know, the sum of the parts. But as a long-term investor, I know there's a tremendous amount of value here. This is like, imagine going back in time and being able to get 1 million acres in the Abitibi 70 years ago, or in Timmins, or the Nevada Goldfields. Like, you know, that's unheard of, but I think that's what we have here. Time will tell, but, you know, all the momentum is moving in the right direction. I think the chips are falling on the table, and now we got to put the puzzle pieces together here. But
good. Well, good luck with the summer program. And I look forward to seeing the news as it comes out during the course of the autumn. Yeah,
so do I. Thanks for, you know, it's great to be here finally. I know I've tried to hook up before, but this is a very unique company. I think, you know, I think you realize that, and we're excited. There's going to be lots of news coming on. Look forward to being back and further.